Nords don't just live in Skyrim. Nords are Skyrim. The land is theirs by right, its customs are built around them, and its history is told almost entirely through Nord legends, wars, and heroes. The language, the ruins, even the conflicts you stumble into all carry Nord imprint. Because that connection is so obvious, choosing a Nord often feels like less of a decision and more like the default. Their presence blends into the background and makes Nords easy to take for granted. Their strengths line up with the world in ways that reward endurance and consistency. From the opening escape from Helgen to the final fight in Sovngarde, Skyrim is built with the expectation that a Nord can weather whatever the land throws at them. Nords have a permanent 50% resistance to frost, and unlike many of the other racial traits, it never becomes irrelevant. It's always active, reducing pressure in fights where frost damage would otherwise dictate the tempo of a battle. In Skyrim, frost damage does more than just chip away at health. It drains stamina and interferes with movement, which puts strain on characters who depend on blocking, positioning, and sustained offense. Over time, those effects compound, and long encounters turn into endurance tests, and mistakes become harder to recover from. That pressure is constant. Enemy mages make frequent use of ice spells, Draugr in Nord ruins also heavily employ frost magic, and creatures like ice wraiths and frost atronachs haunt large regions of the map. As the game progresses, frost-breathing dragons appear more frequently, reinforcing the cold as a recurring threat rather than a situational one. For a Nord, that strain is reduced at every stage of the game. Early fights feel more forgiving, and later encounters remain manageable as frost resistance continues to scale alongside enemy damage. Cold in Skyrim isn't just confined to spell effects or enemy abilities. The Empire's frozen northern province is defined by ice and cold. Mountain passes funnel players into narrow paths where slowed movement becomes dangerous. The northern holds reinforce cold as a permanent state of being rather than a seasonal obstacle. In survival mode, that design becomes even more explicit. Cold exposure turns into one of the game's most significant systems, and frost resistance works to dramatically reduce this danger. Travel lasts longer, stamina lasts longer, and harsh weather conditions become something you endure rather than constantly have to avoid. Nords are well suited to these conditions, and Skyrim's climate supports their natural durability. The same focus on control carries into combat through Battlecry, the Nord's racial power. Instead of dealing direct damage, it alters the shape of any encounter. Nearby enemies flee, pressure drops, and the fight is slow into something a bit more manageable. Enemy attacks stop long enough to give a Nord breathing space, allowing a warrior to reset position without having to rely on spells or consumables. Skyrim often funnels combat into confined environments like crypts or caves, where enemy movement can be as significant as raw damage output. Battlecry gives time to reposition or recover before re-engaging the enemy on better terms. Enemies affected by fear fully disengage and scatter, often splitting into smaller, more manageable, containable threats. This introduces a pause that makes encounters much more easy to manage. As enemies return to the fray at different moments, combat settles into a steadier rhythm as you take enemies on in ones and twos instead of them all overwhelming you all at once. Early in the game, dependable crowd control options are scarce, but Battlecry fills this role well and remains relevant well beyond the opening hours. Nord starting skills follow the same kind of alignment. Bonuses to two-handed combat establish an early physical presence, while related strengths support one-handed weapons, blocking, armor, and crafting. These skills reflect how most players naturally engage with Skyrim. Combat emphasizes timing and spacing, blocking rewards awareness, and smithing supports investing in long-term progression. Because of this overlap, character growth for a Nord is smooth. Their strengths reinforce systems the game already teaches, allowing Nords to feel capable from the very beginning of the game without forcing them to specialize or adjust. They fit cleanly into Skyrim's learning curve. This mirrors Nord identity itself. Their culture is shaped by prolonged hardship, harsh climate, constant conflict, and generations of warfare that have hammered endurance and persistence into the Nord people. Physical strength is important to the Nords because it ensures survival in a harsh climate. This extends to Skyrim's central narrative. The Dragonborn prophecy is rooted in Nord history. The Thu'um originated with ancient Nord heroes, and dragons feature heavily in their legends, ruins, and culture. playing a Nord Dragonborn feels like writing the true history of Skyrim. Over a full playthrough, the advantages awarded to a Nord remain active and dependable. They scale well, and over long sessions and extended campaigns, that consistency becomes a strength in itself. Nords experience Skyrim through endurance, surviving its harsh climate and carrying its history forward. There isn't a single race that naturally integrates into the province this well. Thank you all so much for watching. This objectively correct Nord propaganda was brought to you by my beloved goblins on Patreon. At the Thane tier, the highest tier, my beloveds, Ellie Sophia XX, Sniper Lord 696, Rubber T60, Remix 2000D, and Narthrak. And a special thank you to our very first and only coffee funder, Kyle B. As well as our very first and only YouTube member, Ellie Sophia, again. Thank you. And lastly, an enormous, massive, biggest thank you to Suzy for the art of my, definitely not my persona. They've become a sort of unofficial, official artist for the channel recently, so keep an eye out for more stuff from them in the future. Also check out their Tumblr, there'll be a link in the description as well as a link on the top right of the video right now. Also, just between me and you, there's a Discord that you should join. We were arguing about whiskey earlier, and I'm running some Dungeons and Dragons for a few people this Sunday. You should join, it's a good time. You just join the Discord. Right, that's all contractual obligations and blood debts fulfilled. See ya.